Hi, everybody, and welcome to the I Care About You podcast, the podcast where we navigate life's challenges with compassion, curiosity, and care. I'm your host, Juliana J., and today we're diving deep into something that quietly shapes your decisions, your emotions, and even your relationships. I know this firsthand, and I might go into a few stories. So, it's lack mentality. This belief system tells us that there's never enough. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough love or success or opportunities, you name it. But the truth is, this mindset limits us for far more than our actual circumstances do. So what is lack mentality? How does it affect your emotional and physical well-being? And most importantly, how can you break free from it? Let's explore this together. First, I want to remind you all about my book, Reasons to Live. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. There's a lot of good information in there about working with your inner self and your own inner beliefs and shifting to a more positive outlook, and also how to help others do the same. There's a lot of talk in there that might be triggering to some, but it's really, really important that we learn how to be here for each other. So let's get into it, this lack mentality. This came up for me this morning during my morning meditation because I struggle with lack mentality, mostly because people in my life have shaped that belief structure in me. And I'm kind of one of those people who will glob on to what other folks might believe or think if I'm not being mindful, and especially in intimate relationships. I will people please the person in this way of validating their beliefs rather than challenging them. And I just really was engrossed in this lack mentality for decades before I realized what it was and started doing work on it. So let's understand what lack mentality even is. Lack mentality is deeply ingrained belief that there is never enough to go around. This can show up in many ways. Financial scarcity, believing that you never have enough money or resources, no matter how much you earn or how tightly you hold your purse strings. Emotional scarcity, feeling unworthy of love or that relationships are always fleeting, you can never keep them. Success scarcity, thinking opportunities are limited, and if someone else succeeds, it means that there is less success available for you. This is a really big one in our society, which I feel we've kind of been programmed to fight against each other rather than help one another achieve what we need to achieve. Instead, we're always looking around going, that person's out to get me. This person is taking all the resources, and we're in this strange competition with others rather than lifting each other up. There's also time scarcity, which I feel like is a constant thing I'm struggling with, consistently feeling rushed or that you never have enough time to accomplish what you want. I realized recently that a lot of my time scarcity beliefs really just are born out of anxiety I have that I'm not going to get something done. I'm not going to do it well. It stems way back to when I was a child. I had learning disabilities as a child and a really thick speech impediment. And I'm dyslexic, so I could never spell or anything like that. And I always felt this extreme anxiety about completing any assignment or anything because I didn't have enough time to try and figure out what was wrong with it or what I needed to do. And I really lacked the skills to even know what I needed to do. So that's deeply ingrained in me and something I'm always working on. And that brings me to a really important point, that lack mentality is often shaped by our childhood or by our upbringing or society or past experiences. If you grew up hearing phrases like money doesn't grow on trees, or you should be grateful for what you have, even if you're struggling, or other sort of strange metaphors or sayings that we have in life, and even things that keep us limited and bring us down. There's a lot of typical things that are said to various groups of folks that are really limiting, and society kind of uses that, or it has become a way to keep us down, to keep others down, to keep different groups down and suppressed by just constantly putting them in this lack mentality. When you internalize this belief of scarcity, you often don't even realize it. You just think that's the way things are. I thought that way for a long time. Presenting as a female, I often felt that, oh, certain things were just expected, right? Like, I'm not going to get paid as much. I'm not going to get those promotions other people get. People don't think I'm smart or know what I'm doing. I don't have enough professionalism because I look like I do. I mean, look at me just today. Even I'm filming this, even the filter I have as I'm filming has decided to kind of crop out the crazy parts of my hair as though that's not acceptable. And that's not even a human being doing that. That's some software doing that, right? So it's just reading out things that things aren't acceptable. So we get that on so many levels, not just from what people say to us, but what is happening out there in the world that we're seeing in media and even with software programs and how they filter you to look more quote unquote acceptable makes you feel like you are lesser than, which is part of this whole lack mentality. What are the effects of lack mentality, you may ask? Lack mentality doesn't just affect our thoughts. It takes a toll on our emotions, our relationships, and even our physical health. And I have so seen this in reality. And here's how. Emotional impact. Living in a state of not enough creates chronic stress, anxiety, and fear. It keeps us in a cycle of worry and prevents us from truly enjoying what we have. We all know people who are super crabby. Everybody's out to get them. They don't realize what they do have. What they do have, they're constantly talking crap about it and making fun of things in a negative way all the time. They're very kind of have an unhappy nature, even if they will laugh and tell jokes. A lot of their jokes are mean. A lot of the jokes are at other people's expense. They think everything's out to get them everywhere in every facet, even things like the sidewalk is out to get them if they trip. It also creates a physical impact. The stress of scarcity can lead to high cholesterol levels, impacting your sleep, digestion, and overall just well-being. Really can affect your health. And this is so profound in levels of anxiety you might develop in your life. All those things that you do to attempt to be healthy or that you need in life to be healthy all of a sudden are also in the scarcity mode. And things like anxiety and stress kind of rule your domain. It can really impact relationships. When we operate in a place of scarcity, we push people away out of fear of losing them. We might even become possessive in a relationship, competitive with our friends, or distrustful of other people's intentions. It can really affect you in that when you're in a relationship with someone, they may stay very distant from you, so emotionally distancing from you. They might do things like force themselves not to put their arm around you, hug you, hold your hand, do all these things unless they're wanting something more intimate because there's a goal or a reason for doing it. But it's not just because they feel like doing it for you, or they might be really stingy in the relationship. They know somewhere in their brain that it might be nice to do something for you, but they purposefully don't do it because they don't want to get fully invested in the relationship because in their minds, they're in scarcity mode. So you're going to leave. And eventually what happens? Most often you do leave. So it's creating this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that is something most of us don't even see. We just think, someone in a scarcity mode just thinks, well, of course, they're against me, not reflecting on what might have caused that role. I also notice folks in a scarcity model will not also do what you need in the relationship. If you have asks in the relationship, they might never ever do them just to keep you at arm's distance. I was in a relationship where the person wouldn't even do simple things like brush their teeth at nighttime before they got into bed or change their shirt before we went out because it had a stain on it, just as point proving strangeness to keep me in a place of meaninglessness, as though what I was saying or what I needed, however simple, was not worthy of their actions. So not only do people have the scarcity mode within themselves, but they also project it onto you. Like, you should just be happy for what you have. You should be happy I show up in this relationship. You should be happy I'm not cheating on you. You should be happy that I participate on any level at all, rather than feeling like gratitude and wanting to give you more what you need in the relationship. So they're projecting the scarcity model onto everyone else as well. So how do you shift from the scarcity model to abundance? You can't make someone else shift out of it. I want to say, if you're in a relationship and you're thinking, oh yes, this sounds very much like my partner, well, you can't make them shift out of the scarcity model, even when you start pulling away and leaving. They think that that's expected because relationships don't stay. So they're not so vested in cultivating the relationship because that's a waste of time to them. So you can't change their mentality. But if you, like me, absorbed that scarcity mentality due to the reality you were in when you were in that relationship or with those people, you can shift it for yourself. That's the good news. Lack mentality is not something you have to live with forever and you can't get away from. With awareness and intentions, you can shift to an abundance mindset. And this is something I just did this morning to remind myself that I am in abundance. I practice gratitude every day. Instead of focusing on what's missing and what I don't have, I try to really be thankful for all the things I do. After I wrote in my gratitude journal, which is my gratitude practice, and I always bring gratitude into my meditations and other work that I do. And daily, I try to thank people when they do something nice for me, or even if they're doing something nice for someone else. I try to always appreciate folks, situations, and where I am in life instead of focusing on what's missing, which for me at the moment is just financial security. I try to let that go and focus on gratitude. And I'm trying to reframe my beliefs. So change my thoughts of scarcity. When I catch myself thinking, I'll never have enough money, I reframe it as, I'm learning how to create financial abundance. Or in this morning, I reframed it as just going on an abundant rampage, which is something that Esther Hicks talks about when she talks about manifestation, and the person that she channels talks about that. She talks about going on a gratitude or abundance rampage, which means that you just start saying all the things you're thankful for and you're abundant in. And this is what I did this morning. Like, I'm abundant in my pet friends at the moment. I am abundant in the house that I live in. I am abundant in soft, cozy blankets because it's cold outside. I'm abundant in food. I am abundant in heat. I am abundant in nice weather. I am abundant in the ability to travel because I do have a car. I am abundant in friends. I am abundant in family. That's so much that I am really abundant in and thankful for. You just go on this rampage. You can set a timer for 5 minutes and just, I am abundant in, I am thankful for, and keep it going. It will totally change your outlook. Believe me. Also, it's really important to celebrate the success of others. I touched on this a little bit, but let's circle back to it. Instead of seeing success as limited and that there's only so much of it to go around, rewrite your brain with the possibilities rather than the competition. There's so much out there that there is no lack of successful outcomes for you. There is no lack in that. So competing with others for that, or being angry at others for their achievements, start supporting folks and you'll get that support back. Eventually, people might be a little bit like, oh, this is weird if it's not in your normal way of being. But over time, that will come back to you. And success needs support. So it's important to build those frameworks, and you build them by supporting others. It's not a one-way street. Another thing is to invest in yourself. Whether it's learning a new skill or taking a class or prioritizing self-care, Sending the message that you are worthy of abundance is critical. And it's not sending that message to others, but it's really sending it to yourself as well. So both. You projecting that you are worthy is really, really important. It's very hard to do when you spend a lot of time in lack mentality to shift that energy for yourself and be more, I am worthy of someone speaking nicely to me. I am worthy of a good relationship. I am worthy of financial security. All the things that you are worthy of. Again, you can go on a rampage with all the things you are worthy of. But investing in yourself also includes reflection. Reflecting on, how did you get here? Who helped you learn this lack mentality? Where did you learn it from? And can you retell that story instead of it being something that your parents expected per se? It could be something like your parents were doing the best they could with what they had, but you have an opportunity to retell that and to get the family out of that lack mentality. And what are you going to do? It was nice that they showed you that. That was a gift. What are you going to do with that gift, and how can you retell the story for yourself? One thing that is so important in so many ways, not just in changing your lack mentality, but in also feeling better and more joyful about life in general, is to give freely. It may seem counterintuitive if you feel like you don't have enough, but generosity creates an abundance mindset. Give your time, your resources, your kindness without fear of lack. It doesn't have to cost you anything. I'm not saying you have to give away your possessions or things, but certainly when you're cleaning out your closet, you can give that to a worthy cause rather than putting it in a landfill. Or you can give it to somebody who might make it into something else. But give freely and don't think about what the other person is going to do with it or try and control or dictate that. If you give somebody a jacket you don't wear anymore that you used to love, and they cut it into pieces and make it into a quilt, that's fine because you gave it to them. So you have to give freely and often, give often. And there's so many things you can give that are very small but significant, like a smile to somebody, a kind word. You can help somebody with something. You can say something kind. You can compliment someone genuinely. You can tell people you love them when you do, even if it seems a little bit like, oh, I'm not used to saying that. Once you start doing it, it'll get easier and easier and easier and easier. You can also post positive things on your social media rather than using it as a platform to talk about everything that's wrong or to project your life as being incredible. Just throw some gratitude out there. It's really easy to do. There's so many posts on gratitude. You can easily find something to be thankful for, even if it's a picture of your cat that you're thankful for. You can just throw some gratitude out there into the universe. So, my friends, I hope this helped you understand lack mentality, where it comes from, and a few things you can do about it. And it'll take a while to kind of get out of the lack mentality because as soon as something scares you, you'll go right back in it. That's true for me, at least. As soon as something happens like being laid off, I'm right back into lack mentality. Like that, regardless of anything else, that's where I am. If I go to the store and they're out of something that I wanted to get, lack mentality right away. Of course, they wouldn't have what I want, blah, blah, blah. So it's really easy to go back in there. And you have to remember that, be mindful of it. Oh, I'm in lack mentality right now. I need to shift back out of it. And it's kind of a process. So you'll be working with it for a while and it's totally worth it. Because if you believe in manifestation, one of the key things is to get out of lack mentality, to be in a place of abundance. And that's where more things make their way to you. If you're in lack mentality, you will always be in lack mentality. If you're in abundance mentality, you have the opportunity to invite new things into your life. Lack mentality keeps us trapped in fear, but abundance is available to all of us. The more we shift our mindset, the more we attract opportunities, love, and kindness. The first step is recognizing scarcity thinking when it creeps in, and then choosing a different path. You have to be mindful, like I said, but it's totally doable. If I can attempt to do it, you can do it. So let's just work on this together, shall we? So thank you for joining me on I Care About You. If this is an episode that resonated with you, please share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And remember, you're enough. You have enough, and abundance is already on its way to you. Just keep those three things in mind. You're enough, you have enough, and abundance is already on its way to you. It can be really helpful as you work through this scarcity mentality shift. So as always, my friends, remember, know that you are loved, you are valued, you are not alone in this journey. I'm on the trail with you. And know that I love you and I support you, and we're all humans. We all make mistakes. But what makes us incredible is that we get back up and still start moving forward. So keep up the forward walking, dear friend, and I'll see you next time. Take care.